Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, you could leave a 5-star review, just like Ahmed Bright. He says, "Great show. Chrissie is the most beautiful comedian. Chrissie's the most beautiful comedian woman in America. Lovely host and great guests. Wow, guys, did you hear that? In the whole of America. Thanks, Ahmed. Be like Ahmed. Leave a 5-star review." This episode is brought to you by. Actually, I'm very excited to share this. It's a new. Let's get it up here. I'm just going to get it up on the screen so you guys can see what I am talking about. Okay. Boom. Standalone. It's a Substack, which is kind of like a blog, by Melissa McCutcheon, an artist and a former professor who quit due to the corruption of academia. She publishes at least once a week on topics designed to offer some hope and insight into the bizarre groupthink world we're currently living in. You can subscribe at standalone.substack.com. It's free, and there are some really great, valuable bits of advice regarding individual empowerment and ways to stay true to your principles in the face of adversity. In fact, she just published a piece, and it's about the wave of resignations that we're seeing in response to the vaccine mandates for companies with 100 or more employees. And she weaves in the story of her own decision to leave academia. You can go check it out at standalone.substack.com, and it's very, very cool. I subscribe to it, and it has different articles here about like critical thinking and traps, uncertainty, free speech, like so right up my alley, which means it might be right up your alley too. And another quick shout out to Cushy Dreams. If you struggle with any kind of anxiety, I know that it really helped me with my anxiety. You can join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. There's different indica sativa blends like Relax, Dream, Energy, Hustle, Create. So whatever you want to do with your day, Cushy Dreams has your back. It's KUSHYDreams.com. And at checkout, use promo code CMP to get 20% off. You can get all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. It comes in tins and these pre-rolls, which I really enjoy. They come in these packs of 5, which I think they're just very portable and easy to just throw it into a purse. And I'm just a big fan of all their stuff, and they've definitely helped me with my anxiety. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm very excited to have this gal on the pod today. She is an ambassador for Turning Point USA as well as Prager U. She also works with our New York congressman here, Lee Zeldin. This is like, she's the real deal, guys. I'm so excited to have her on. Isabella DeLuca, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really interested in your whole story. I want to know, okay, I like to get a little bit of your origin story, I guess. So because you were on a friend of mine, Elijah Schaefer's podcast last year, talking about how you were attacked at a women's march. How did this happen? Because you are a woman. It shouldn't be.
So I was actually living in Washington, D.C. last fall. I was doing some work with an internship. I was doing work on Capitol Hill with the RNC. So I was already in D.C. for work. Part of my job required me to actually go to the Supreme Court during ACAB's confirmation. So I was there with my Trump flag. I was with some other students. I didn't know that the Women's March was that day until I saw people walking with like pink hats down the road.
And like, uh-oh. Exactly. It only mean one thing.
They immediately surrounded me, kind of stood out, blonde hair, was waving a Trump flag, and I was kind of separated from my group of friends. They were verbally assaulting me for like hours. At some point, some lady had spit in my face. It was just like a disaster. And then it kind of just hit like a climax where some lady had taken my flag from me, and when I went to retrieve it, she punched me in my face. And then another one got involved, did the same thing. So it was just a disaster. I mean, I'm not really surprised. I kind of was caught off guard that it was an older woman, that we were at a women's.
How old? How old do you think she was? Because I remember you said you didn't feel like you could fight back or defend yourself because she was older. What, like
if I had to
60s?
say, she had to be like 50s.
Okay.
Like, this lady could have been my mother or my grandmother. And I was like hesitant to hit her back, but I was like, I'm surrounded by all these people. I've been like verbally assaulted for hours. And so when I went to actually go defend myself, that's when a younger girl had gotten involved and also hit me in my face.
This is insane. And for those who don't know, ACB is Amy Coney Barrett, and she was confirmed, I guess, last year as the new Supreme Court justice after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And there was a lot of drama. Like, a lot of people did not want ACB to be confirmed because they thought that she was, I don't know, super conservative, like super right leaning. I don't know. I'm not sure what they were basing that off of, other than the fact that she's like a mother. But I haven't followed like her work super closely. So that's why a lot of these like Women's March harpies were out, just sort of, you know, protesting, I guess I mean, it was going to happen. So, and so they see you, and that's the thing is like, you're pretty and you have a Trump flag, and it's like, as a chick, I'm sure jealousy didn't at all enter into the equation. But I just, as a former like angry feminist myself, I know that a lot of it comes from like your own unresolved issues. And then of course, if you, and that's the thing is like, we all have our struggles, but it's like, I'm sure they look at you like, oh, look at this pretty girl. Like, she has no struggles in life. She has she gets everything she wants. Everything comes easily. And, it's just like, I remember being in that kind of insane mindset, and it's so destructive. And honestly, like, it's your own little hell that you create and carry around with you. And I know a lot of these women just kind of have like unresolved issues going on with themselves, and they take it out on whoever they deem the enemy is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really horrible that happened to you, because I remember you had done a couple of interviews, and you're even doing these interviews like with a black, like you had like a bruise on your face, like, oh my gosh,
my face was pretty badly bruised. I covered a lot of it up with makeup, but my lip was just so busted that like you could see it in some of the interviews.
Damn. Did anybody come to help you, or did it all happen so fast?
It did all happen so fast. Obviously, I asked people to get the police. Obviously, they weren't going to do that. There was one guy who broke it up. He was like the only guy I actually saw there. He broke it up, and then he had the audacity to tell me that if I was wearing a mask, maybe I wouldn't have gotten punched in my face.
What?
Yeah,
wow.
Completely like unhinged and just like bizarre, but that was about it. No one else really helped me. It kind of took me removing myself out of the situation, which is hard to do anyway, because now it's like you've been humiliated, assaulted, and like now you have to leave this huge group of people.
Yeah, and it's totally unprovoked. You're just minding your own business, and it's like, these people are bullies. Like, if people like watching and listening right now at this point don't know that it's just a straight up mob mentality and bullying. It's like, I don't know what else to tell you. So was it after this event that kind of like kickstarted your involvement with like PragerU and Turning Point, or had you been involved with them before, like when you were, you know, kind of working in the government a little bit?
I had been involved with them before. Just from doing work and being vocal on social media, I definitely received hate messages. So I kind of already experienced that. But after being physically assaulted for my beliefs at a women's march, nonetheless, it definitely made me actually more empowered to share my beliefs, where now I'm like, okay, now I feel like nothing can hurt me at this point.
Really? I feel like it would have had the opposite effect. Like, I don't want to get like hurt badly, or even, you know what I mean? Like, I think it would freak me, as someone who's like never been attacked by a mob, or like I've never been like mugged or anything like that. Like, I'm glad to hear that it's made you more confident and more brave, and like more for the cause.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think maybe like initially, maybe like the first day, it did made me like a little uneasy, where I'm like, do I really want to even do this? But, you know, the thing is, you can't really let these people like affect you and bring you down in these negative ways. I mean, some of the death threats that I've received, like I've had to contact the FBI for some of them because they're so serious. And I feel like at this point, it doesn't bother me, but I definitely feel like you can't give in to people like that, and you can't let them affect you. Like, what we do doesn't affect them at all. What they do to us shouldn't affect us at all either.
Yeah. That's, I mean, death threats. Is it from like your social media? Is it from your involvement with any of these groups, or is it hard to tell where it comes from?
It's mostly what happens is I think I post stuff on TikTok and people get very angry with it and they start messaging me on Instagram. So I was actually with on War Room a few weeks ago talking about some of the DMs that I've gotten, and they're just like absolutely like disgusting. Like they're not normal at all. These people are just completely unhinged, and that's honestly why I don't let it affect me to the point that I guess some people would. I mean, the stuff that I post is very like
it's cute. This is like, and you have like the classic TikTok song. I've seen this a million times, and you're not like. It's just amazing to me that this is so triggering to people. Like you're just being kind of like tongue in cheek. Yeah.
It's nothing even bad. It's nothing bad at all. It would be like if a liberal made something that was kind of the opposite of this. Like, am I going to go get mad at them and like tell them that I found their address and that I'm going to kill them? No, I wouldn't.
Right. And that's the thing is like, we'll make fun of TikToks where somebody's like, oh, I can't wait to kill as many babies as possible. I got my Planned Parenthood punch card. The 10th one is free. I'd be like, oh, wow, this person needs help. But I wouldn't like send them a message or a threat, or I would just like feel bad for them. But
exactly, yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, and like for those of you just listening on audio, the last TikTok was like, oh, like repeal the 19th. What are your pronouns? Dish and washer, which is so funny. And just joking about like, oh, women shouldn't vote, or like, and here, this is another thing too, especially it's a TikTok where you're like, I just want to make my future husband happy, make sandwiches, have kids, and live happily ever after. And you're just like being cute, which like, it's the thing. It's like, if this makes you so mad, it makes you think like, oh, deep down, is that what this like, if you're triggered by this, the opposite of hate is what? Apathy. So yeah. If you get angry watching these like TikToks of yours, it makes you think like, oh, are you deep down wishing that you, I don't know, looked like her or had this life or whatever? And
and some of it is like, some of it there's like truth to it, right? Like obviously, like I believe in traditional values. I want to get married, have kids, but like things like repeal the 19th, like I want to run for office. Obviously, I don't want the 19th Amendment, appealed. But it's just like, it gets them so angry for no reason at all. But it's kind of like what you said. Like, I've seen liberals make horrible jokes, right, about like murdering the unborn. And I've never gone ahead and like seen that and like sent it to their job, sent it to like their school, or even sent like a message to them in the first place. It is what it is.
It makes you really think, like, and that's actually the first time I've put that together, like these super, even like the libs of TikTok account and like all the
I love that account.
Yeah, all the stuff that we love to make fun of, and it's like, okay, you're doing this as a joke. And I think of also Isabella Riley, another wonderful Isabella. I think she also works with Turning Point. She does a lot of like Fox News stuff. She does kind of also like to troll and push buttons. So you think like, are leftists doing that too? It doesn't seem like it's lighthearted when they do it, but again, maybe that's like my own bias. Like, who knows? Maybe they're just like, oh, we're just trying to piss off conservatives or anybody who's not like us. Like, they're not actually trying to have as many abortions as possible.
Yeah, I think I do kind of, I guess I've never really made that comparison, but I feel like just like me, along with other conservative influencers, posting to kind of like, trigger people, I'm sure they do the same thing.
Do you think now you are what people would call trad wife material? The more I say these words, the more I sound like such a boomer. I'm trying to fight it. Do you get a lot of like DMs? Like, are you dating anybody right now?
Yeah, so I actually started dating somebody 2 months ago. But yeah, I mean, even prior to that, I was getting DMs saying like, that I was a pick me girl, and then like also
what is this? I've heard people say pick me, and people have called me that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't even know what this means. You're gonna have to offend me a different way, because I don't know what it means.
Pick me is like, liberal girls use it and liberal men use it to describe like conservative girls, and that they say things for male validation. So like anything like repeal the 19th or go make a sandwich is like an example of like a pick me. Like I'm so desperate to get a guy that I have to like entice him with like making a sandwich and saying repeal the 19th.
Like they don't have that exact same thing on the left. Like there's not male feminists running around like your body, your choice, like believe all women. Like you could say that the exact same thing is true of the other side, and that people just say things for validation. Now, is this guy that you just started dating, is this somebody you met like through the internet at all? Was he like looking at your TikToks and going, I would like you to make me a sandwich one day if we could arrange that?
So actually the way he found me was, I think I was arguing with some liberal on the typical liberals post. And I was like, yeah, maybe like if you go made a sandwich, like maybe you'd be happier with your life. Like, you know, like just something like super stupid. And I think he like just saw that and was like, who is this girl? And he added me. And so we started talking. And then he's actually from Pennsylvania. So
Aww.
he went to Long Island to come see me. And then we started dating ever since.
Ooh,
super Republican.
Swing state boy.
Super Republican in the army, so like perfect.
Ooh, okay. Sounds awesome. That's really neat. Yeah, I just remember you're super tough, and I feel like you're very confident. Like, do you attribute that to like how you were raised, and I feel like you kind of have your shit together for someone who seems pretty young still. So who do you have to thank for that?
I mean, definitely my parents. I mean, I am the oldest of 3 other siblings, so I do feel that having younger siblings, you know, my parents were building up their businesses when I was younger, so they were working a lot, and I felt like I had to take care of my siblings a lot of the time. So I do feel like that kind of made me grow up a little bit faster. And then I think when you go through certain things in your life, it definitely toughens you up. So like in middle school, I was bullied really bad. That definitely like—
Why were you bullied?
Skin on me. It was really bad. And then, you know, when I went to high school, I came out as like a Trump supporter and I lost all my friends. So honestly, like, I feel like nothing affects me. Like if I don't have friends, if people are hating on me, like, I just feel like it doesn't affect me like at all anymore, which is why I also feel like this field is perfect for me. I feel like some people can't handle it. And it is a lot. It definitely is a lot. I'm sure you've been through it. A lot of people I know have been through it. And it's definitely not easy. It wasn't easy for me at first when I started out in politics, when you're not used to the attention, the negative attention, the death threats. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like definitely have a tough layer of skin over me. And, you know, being an older sibling definitely like made me grow up a little bit faster.
Oh, for sure. You're taking on responsibilities and like kind of have to act like a babysitter sometimes. What was it about Trump that you liked as a high schooler? Like I wasn't, when I was in high school, I was oblivious to politics. I just like, I don't know.
I honestly didn't really like politics that much going into high school. My mom, you know, always had like stuff in the house, history. She's really big into that. Always had Fox on. So I did grow up in a conservative household. Trump I definitely liked because he really was kind of what I call like an everyman, and he wasn't like a politician. Like he just said what everybody was already thinking. And I know that a lot of people didn't like that, but I think that's one of the things that I liked. He said it exactly how it was. He didn't care what other people thought, and I felt like that's exactly what we needed.
Yeah, and everyone for 4 years was calling Trump like like authoritarian and a dictator, and it's like, like you have no idea what's coming. It's almost like there was a concerted effort to take away the meaning from a lot of these words, so that now when these things are actually kind of happening and you need to show papers to go to a restaurant, like, do we have no words for it? Because we've already spent 4 years calling Trump a dictator.
Definitely diminishes the meaning of it. It's the same thing with all the racist stuff the last 4 years. Like you completely like diminished the meaning of like racism. Like I feel like they've done that with so many terms after the last 4 years, like you said, calling Trump a dictator, and now I can't even like sit in a restaurant in the city. Like, what?
I know. I love talking to like fellow New Yorkers. So were you born and raised New Yorker?
Yeah, so I grew up in Queens, and then my family moved out to Long Island about 14 years ago.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm from Long Island. Strong Island, baby. I haven't been there in a couple of years though. How are the mandates out in Long Island? Like do you find yourself like going into the city just not as much anymore?
I don't really go into the city typically unless I have an event to go to. But Long Island is pretty much open. The district that I'm in, New York District 1, is super red. Lee Zeldin is a Republican. So, yeah, no one really cares too much out here for the masks, the mandates. You definitely have your pockets of areas where they're like super strict, but it's not like the city where like you actually need a physical vaccine card to go inside a restaurant.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like this sort of red wave that's taking over Long Island. I just never, I don't know. I never thought I would see it. I just always, New York is super blue, and it's really nice to see because Long Island is a lot of teachers, a lot of cops, a lot of like firefighters. So it's like people in like union jobs and or a lot of them like work in the city and commute in. So I mean, did you expect that to happen with these elections?
You're saying with Long Island in general?
Yeah, like Long Island, like turning more red.
Honestly, yes. I feel like this administration like has definitely pushed people more to the right, whether they're moderates or I know people who are super far left leaning that have been like, this is completely like disgraceful and they're voting red. I just feel like Democrats have pushed people so far. They've become so radicalized that people can't really get on board with it anymore. I mean, I look at the Virginia race and Terry McAuliffe was just saying a day before the election that we have too many white teachers. Like,
wow, it's like he's a white dude.
Like always the white people, though, honestly. And it's like, in what world is that acceptable? And it's not. And I feel like things like that, they've become emboldened in saying things like that. But people, I think, have just had enough.
It's so unfortunate that they feel like they have to just pander to non-white people when it's like, regardless of color, I think people just want somebody who's a good leader who comes across like a real person. Like I was following the New Jersey election pretty closely too. I think it was Jack. Can't remember his last name, but it's like long and Italian. And like I was listening to his speech, I'm like, he just sounds like a real regular guy. And I think they did call it for Murphy, but then I saw like Phil Murphy speaking, and I'm like, he just looks like a gay mannequin. Like he just looks like shiny and like he's had work done. I don't know. I was just like, all these Democrats just come across so fake. And I think people are,
they're so out of touch with people. I've also been keeping an eye out on the Minneapolis race. Cicely Davis, she's running against Ilhan Omar. And right, so you have Ilhan Omar
wow,
calling to defund the police, but then also spends $80,000 on her own personal security. So it's just like they're not relatable to people at all. That's why I think Donald Trump was great. That's why I think Lee Zeldin is great. They're more personable. They're more relatable to people. And I feel like they get it. I feel like Democrats have just become so corrupt and out of touch with people. And that's not to say that every Republican is not out of touch with people. There definitely are some, but the majority, in my opinion, are not.
Yeah, I think these white Democrats think like, oh, I have to pander to black and brown or whatever people, and I have to be the most woke, virtue signaling white person, because if I'm not, then I'm gonna be kicked off the woke boat. And like, it's almost like you can be the white person who can stay if you are super duper like virtue signaling, exactly. All the time. It's just like, it just doesn't seem genuine to me. From Young Pei Chang, hey guys, hey, I have an Asian fan. From Matthew Hammond, both Chrissy and Isabella's hair looks nice today. Can you give leftist women some tips? Why do they cut their hair off and dye it pink or purple? Okay, well, I can tell you why I cut my hair real short. I hated men. No, I was in college, I was a springboard diver, and like a lot of the swimmers and divers just cut their hair really short. And I like had a long ponytail when I first started like college diving, and I was doing flips, and I felt my hair like hit the diving board, and I was like, that's it. I don't want to feel that again. So I just chopped it off, and then it kind of worked. And I was for a few years doing like a Midwestern Karen do, like with a long bang and like kind of cropped up the back. We all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it feels like, I don't know. I think you get caught up in this not need. It's weird. You do need validation. You'll never admit it, like as a feminist, for sure. Every human being needs validation. But I think it's just like, it's rebellious, right? You're going against what you think. I don't know. It's dumb, actually. It's like people should just wear the hair that looks best for their face shape and their body type. But I think it's just rebellion.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. I look like Demi Lovato, like completely chopped off all her hair, and she looks horrible now. I've never chopped my hair off. I'm very into like the long hair look, so I can never do that. But I don't know why people do it anyway, especially leftists when they do like the dark green and like they shave their head.
You become like such a caricature. Like you're doing it to like supposedly look different. I think it's like you're doing it to fit in because you're just like, okay, if I can declare who I am with how I look, then it's like it's easier for me to find my group and my people. So like tips for leftist women, I don't know. I would say like give them 10 years. That's what I needed is just time. Like I say it all the time. I say it on stage. Like it was so easy for me to be a feminist until like I needed my car looked at, or until I needed like something hung up, or I needed somebody to put the AC in the window. And then I was like, I'm sorry. Like, come back. I didn't know what I said. It's that the point is like not to fight. No matter if you're like gay or straight, none of that matters. It's like men and women, like just in life, we need each other. And the powers that be want us at each other's throats. You know, and anything they can use to divide us, whether it's like race, gender, religion, like you guys all know this. So it's just like, it's being wise to like what game they're playing. Like even today I saw this like ad for Legos on Twitter, and it makes me so mad because I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to do a video on this, like the many ways in which they glamorize like women our age, probably like I would say like 20 to 40. They glamorize like being alone and like living alone, because this was a commercial of like a woman. She looked like, I guess, I don't know, 25, and she's just like doing Legos. She's completely by herself. You see her different frames like in her bed, in her apartment, everywhere, just by herself. And it's like, and you see this whole conversation around like don't settle, like, you know, do it for yourself, or like, you know, do like me time. And I think it's just they want us to identify with being a consumer, like what we buy, rather than like who we are, the relationships we make. You know, buy Legos, hang out with your cat. Like, don't go try to meet a nice guy and start a family. Like that's.
Well, yeah, I feel like the left also like, you know, especially feminists, like I can't get on board with anything that they support. Leaders, as a woman, like there's absolutely nothing that I can get on board with. And one of my biggest things is I feel that the left often like tells women that they like, you can't have families and your career. Like you can't have both. And you absolutely choose your career. And like that I think that's one of the things that I liked most about Amy, was that she like was a mother, she had children, she was married, and she was extremely successful. And so like that was like the perfect thing, that like women can have both. And I think that's like what the left didn't like, that like she had both and she was happy.
Wow. Yeah, that she must be some sort of, I don't know, like weirdly like less of a woman or less of a feminist because she had 7 kids. Like it's so hypocritical. Like they shoot themselves in the foot all the time. Like aren't we supposed to support every woman's decision no matter what they do? It's like the more the years tick on, it's not like, oh, you can do whatever you want. It's like, no, you have to live your life the way that I tell you to, the way that's like the right way or whatever.
Exactly.
And it's like interesting because I want to bring up, I don't know if you follow, today they were talking about Chris Pratt a lot, because he posted something on, let's see if I can pull this up. No, okay, I can't pull up something about Chris Pratt. They were shitting on him because he just posted a nice like post of him and his wife, and he was like, oh, I really love her, and everyone, yeah, here we go, like everyone came after him. I think he has a target on his back because he's Christian. Okay, yeah. The real political divide in America can be summed up, whether you think this post from Chris Pratt comes off as A, sweet and normal, or B, cringe and insane. And he's just saying, like, it's him and his wife, guys, for real, look how she's looking at me. I mean, find you somebody that looks at you like that. You know, we met in church. She's given me an amazing life, a gorgeous, healthy daughter. She chews so loudly that sometimes I put in my earbuds to drown it out. But that's love. She helps me with everything. In return, periodically, I open a jar of pickles. That's the trade. Her heart is pure and it belongs to me. My greatest treasure, right next to me. Right next to my Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie card, which if you know, it's saying a lot. It's her birthday in about 6 weeks. So if I don't get her anything, I'll tell her to look back on this post. Love you, honey. And then the replies from this, it's just like all these women shitting on him.
You know what? I think it's a super sweet post. I would love for a guy to put something like that up for me. And honestly, I think these women are jealous that either they don't have a man or they don't have somebody that writes something like that. That's honestly what I think, because I feel like any normal person would look at that and think that's a super sweet, thoughtful, written out message that he just wrote.
I agree. And then people really kind of dig in. They focus on the part we said, oh, like she's giving me a healthy daughter. So I guess he used to be married or with Anna Faris, and they together had a son who has disabilities. So of course everyone's digging into him. Oh, he threw the healthy daughter part he's throwing it in her face because, he had a son with disabilities with Anna Faris. I don't know if they cheated, but people are saying, oh, that's who he cheated on her with.
I feel like, people like that, like you said, he's Christian. So there's definitely already a target on his back. I mean, I don't know. I think the message was super sweet. I didn't see anything wrong with that, but these people usually don't have jobs, and so they don't have anything better to do, but to kind of look into things like this.
This is, God, and this is like somebody who I not that I know, but I knew of her just from doing comedy in the city. This is a very typical feminist take on this, because a lot of women will shit on men who say these sort of things. So here's what she tweeted out, Lane Moore. The culture of my wife moves mountains for me, sacrifices her personal happiness for me, is way out of my league in every way. And I am a man who does nothing for her in return. Haha. Men, get you a woman who's serving you while you just sit there. It's so toxic and must die.
They're just so angry. They're just so filled with hate. And it's disturbing.
You think it's just anger? And I've heard this too, even from friends of mine, we shouldn't be picking it apart, but we're picking it apart. I'm sure Chris was joking in some of that post. He's not going to list all the things he does for her. No sane person is going to stay in a relationship if it doesn't feel equal, if they don't feel like the person provides equal value. But I've noticed a lot of feminist women to, I don't know. It's almost like they're offering support for a woman who hasn't asked for it. They just assume that the man is trash or less valuable than the woman. I see this a lot, and I wonder where it comes from.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely see that a lot too, where they kind of feel like this woman is trapped in this poor woman, and she's so brainwashed that she has no idea that she's with such a toxic man. And, I hope you come out of it. I mean, I get messages like that all the time. How dare you want to make a man a sandwich? You're so brainwashed, or telling me that my future husband's going to cheat on me and that I'm never going to be able to have kids because I'm so brainwashed. It's just so deranged. It doesn't make sense. If you decide you don't want to have a man and you want to spend the rest of your life alone with your cats, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to live my life like that.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's no one's asking you to stick up for these women, yet you feel, I guess it's always easier to just focus on somebody else than it is to focus on your own problems, right? The Jordan Peterson thing of make your bed first before you criticize somebody else's messy room. I'm probably paraphrasing, but I think it's just our culture kind of tolerates a sort of ever-present low-key man-hating. Isn't the word not misogyny, but there's a word for it. Damn it, I forgot it. The chat will tell me. It's trendy to sort of just hate on men all the time.
Yeah.
And nobody really, you never know what's going on in a relationship unless you are one of those two people. So to just to make assumptions about it, I mean, I don't know, they're celebrities, so it's easy to get into their life, I don't know if you heard this today. I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Portnoy, but he had some drama today. He is the guy, he's the head guy at Barstool Sports. And I think I think it's a big hit piece, but it came out today about him. Like, I don't know if it's very similar to me than like what happened with Aziz Ansari, who was a comic. And a couple of years ago, like a woman or a couple women came out and said like, oh, I went on a date with him and then he like fingered me too hard. And it's like these cases where they try to make it sound like assault, but really it's just you consented to sex, like you consented to hanging with them and like the whole like courtship or whatever, and then it just ultimately like didn't go your way or things didn't go great. It's like we've kind of basically just saying like it was bad sex, but we're gonna call it something else for financial gain or to be favored in the press. And I feel like that is what's happening right now with Dave. And this was
I mean, I feel like this whole Me Too movement takes part in this article only because I feel like women have gotten to the point, like you said, if it's like bad sex or let's say they regret sleeping with somebody, they kind of turn it into like, well, I was sexually assaulted. And so like you said, like you agreed, we don't know the full story, right? I mean, and if it wasn't consensual, then it's not consensual. But I mean, like, if you had plans to meet up, you knew you were going to sleep with each other. I mean, it sounds consensual. Like, you didn't get sexually assaulted. You know, if you were in pain, if you were screaming, like, it's still not sexual assault. If you felt humiliated, it's still not sexual assault. And I feel like this Me Too movement has, like, emboldened women to, like, call everything sexual assault. And that's why, like, I see this. It's one of those things that the left uses these terms and it diminishes, like, everything.
Yeah, it diminishes like real victims.
Exactly. The Me Too movement is like a complete joke, and that's why like I saw this article and I honestly like didn't even bother reading it because I think it's stupid.
Well, good, because I read it. And then he has actually an interesting video response. She's basically saying, oh, I felt like a human sex doll. So basically she had been chatting with Dave for like a month and a half, and then they had been like sexting and showing each other like videos and pictures and stuff, like as you do in modern courtship. And then he flew her out first class to, I guess, his home in Nantucket, and then like stayed over for a couple days. I guess like the sex wasn't, from his point of view, the sex like wasn't good, and then they just didn't agree on life. Like to me, it sounded like he's kind of maybe more conservative, maybe more awake, and it sounds like maybe she was more just like woke and liberal. That's kind of what it sounds like after listening to like his video response, which I guess you're like not supposed to do from a law perspective, but he's such a real ass guy that he'll just be like, he'll just come out with his own video response, like out the gate. So it just sounds like they didn't get along. And I guess this happened 8 months ago. And you know what, maybe I should bring up his response because I think it's pretty illuminating. Stool Presidente, poor guy. I mean, anybody he's a millionaire, right? He's like a multi-millionaire. So maybe this is a good lesson to him. Guys that are doing well, like you're a target, he's a target for his beliefs, just like Chris Pratt is. And he's additionally kind of a target with women because, if he's like a sexual guy and he is, kinky, it's like that is something that could be taken advantage of. By a toxic female. So here's his. All right, this is a 9-minute video. I'm just going to play a little bit of it. Whoops, I can't figure out the volume.
Okay, so Business Insider finally published. The hit piece says it's been 8 months in the making on me. Not the normal hit piece, not the normal stuff about jokes we've made, videos we made, things we've done at Barstool. This is far more serious allegations, portraying me, painting me really as a sexual deviant. Serious shit. So lawyers have been talking to me, boards, you should say this, you shouldn't say this, you should do that. Listen, I've ignored everything they said. I'm going to do what I always do. I'm just going to tell the truth. Shoot from the hip and tell exactly how I feel and where I'm at. No written statements, no pre-planned things. Just me that I've been remotely associated with.
So he's saying he's figured out who it is. He's not going to name names.
I'm pretty confident in myself. I know I've never done anything weird with a girl ever. Never anything remotely non-consensual.
He's saying, oh, it's all been consensual.
Maybe she find it. Became obvious she was going to continue to dig and dig and dig, whether it took 4 months, 8 months, 8 years to fulfill the narrative she had already decided upon before she even started this article. From day one, I don't know why she decided to do it. I know cancel culture has been coming for me for a decade. This is just the next iteration. But she knew what she wanted to write, and she was going to find a narrative that fit it from day one. Most importantly, let's get into the two allegations that are jarring. And if I read them not knowing me, I'd be like, this guy belongs behind bars, basically. The first allegation basically is a girl who came to my house in Nantucket last July, like a year and a half ago, and is saying that we had sex. It was so rough. She was screaming, crying, pain, stop. She recalls. And then like 2 days later, reached out to her friend and said she felt like a sex doll during sex. Based on that description of the story, I would have absolutely zero idea who we're talking about. However, it said July, and there was a passage.
This is how you know he hooks up with so many girls. It's like, I don't know who that could have been.
That part.
Let me check my calendar for July.
And knowing when it was, there's only one girl that I could ever recall who.
So we figured out who it is.
With me after we had talked for a month and a half online, and I liked her. I thought she was very attractive, pretty, stunning, engaging girl. So that's why she came. But I do remember one girl sitting on the couch. I went, looked at her past DMs, and that part, there's a part that says she reached out, hey, pizza man, and I responded, hey, fly bitch. I would have never recognized that, a hey, fly bitch. I don't say that. She was wearing a hey, fly bitch shirt or a fly bitch shirt when she first DM'd me, and that's how I responded. Whatever. So that's how I was able to figure out.
Yeah, this is like a long, wordy response.
I can say this unequivocally.
But he's obviously like
at no point
anxious as
she
hell.
Came, she flew. We did have pizza, hung out, hooked up. At no point was it not 100% consensual. At no point did she ask me to stop. At no point did either of us think something unseemly happened. There was no weirdness after. It was totally fine, normal interaction. Sexual, 100%.
100%. See, at one point he shows
I never knew she had any issue. It's the first I heard of it. And
text messages, which I think is pretty interesting. Like he shows the DMs
obviously not gonna say her name,
from back and forth. So he's just explaining like, I didn't do it. I did nothing. Nothing was, everything was consensual. Oh God, look at this. Okay, this is pretty.
Who supposedly was so depressed by her interactions with me.
He's about to show the DMs. Can we bang? Yes. Are you excited or nervous? Nervous. Haha, don't be. It'll be fun. We don't have to do anything if you don't want. Nantucket is better. Miss my dick yet? Haha, of course. Good. Yeah, I'm in shock right now. I can't believe you're texting me. What's up, Dave Portnoy? And then she gives her real number. So I guess they sort of were chatting after this.
In the afternoon, she went home. She DM'd me to come hang out with her at a bar at night. At a bar, by the way, is where she wanted to meet me the first time. So all this that's 21 plus. That's where she said, say, hey, I'm going to this
okay,
bar.
So she's not an underage person.
Black and white. That again, I don't.
She wanted to meet at a bar. This sounds typical. This sounds like typical dating, to be honest. It's just
but they're saying
when you're dealing with a millionaire, you're vulnerable to this stuff.
But she was continually hitting me up to hang out. And it was the mother who found the DMs. Maybe she's a shit. I don't know. It's just, I'm telling you the truth. For 8 months, those
I feel bad for Dave.
Accusations,
he'll get through this.
Sexual nature.
The Me Too woman has no case, you think?
The first one, I'll never be able to prove my side of the story ever. So he said, she said.
And this is the quintessential sort of predicament men are in right now.
I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, you guys think he's after his money? I agree. He's worth a lot.
This reporter had an agenda from day one, from the second she picked up paper. Took her 8 months. I've been mostly single.
That's a long time.
So recently, for the past 5 years. Well known, target on my back. People fucking hate me.
Right, and people were already after him.
Trump, or I go on Tucker Carlson. The woke cancel culture wants to cancel me. This is the next escalation. And they're like, oh, he wrote a rape joke in 2010, which I wouldn't.
This guy is, this is Dave Portnoy. He is in charge of Barstool. He founded Barstool Sports.
I'm scared because they're asking for more. It's like they're asking.
And he also is famous for doing the one bite pizza reviews.
Well, guess what? A lot of fucking people hate me. I guarantee you this.
He's the guy who's like, one bite, everybody knows the rules.
Nothing, because nothing's ever happened. But I can't stop it. He said, she said. So yeah, it's fucking scary. And it sucks. And it's sad that that's the world we live in. This isn't a court of law where it's innocent until proven guilty. No charges ever have been filed. Probably won't unless I'm provoking right now. But there's no way to do it because I've never done anything. But with media,
I'm surprised something like this hasn't happened to him earlier, to be honest, because
who they're affecting right now, the reputation.
He's got a lot of money.
It's guilty until
he's a
proven
sexy dude. Okay, so that is his response. He did like a two-part Twitter response to this.
Okay.
Let's see. He did another video too.
How do I prove my he said, she said that I'm right? How? Luckily, one, I have the DM. The other one, I'm telling you, we didn't get along. We saw the world very differently. So
to me, that sounds like one of these chicks was like just like a woke, progressive,
remotely
dumb twat.
What do I got to be better? Am I just like, no, I have a target on my back and I'm too loose and
I'm too loose,
authentic and like, I don't have to worry about anything because I know who I am and the character. This is eye-opening. It's like scary. It's actually fucking scary because people can basically say whatever they want. And like, this is going to be the new narrative. Dave Portnoy is a rapist. It is 100% false. There's not an ounce of credibility to it. If this woman, the reporter, want to print and talk to all the girls I've actually hooked up with and known, you're going to see just one after another. Great guy, respectful. Yes. They like
He's like, I have references.
Yes, they send sex messages,
consult my references.
Both ways. If you take anything like that out of the bedroom and put it out of context, it looks fucking weird. I've been pretty open about my sex life. None of the girls, besides this, have ever said a thing. And I'm telling you, the first example, she was on the couch. We didn't hook up. And it had nothing to do with sex. Hook up a second time. It was, we did not see the world, did not like each other. Period. I have nothing against her. That happens. But it was like, this isn't going to work. We're not getting along.
Mm-hmm.
People choose to believe.
Yeah, so it sounds like a hookup went south.
11 minutes.
They didn't click.
My soul out. I didn't know.
And she's pissed. And she's probably like, "How do I milk this?"
Like this. 8 months, 24 hours to respond. That's what the reporter said. Give me a fucking break.
Oh, Dave. Okay. Well, there's lessons to be learned here, right, guys? I think the lesson for Dave is like, you got to be really careful about who you are hooking up with. Like, I know he's hot, he's sexy, he's successful, he's like very gregarious. Like, if you watch his 1 minute pizza reviews, like he is a really authentic, genuine guy. He's from Boston. You can tell, like, Boston accent. He's just like a fun dude. He's like somebody you would get a beer with. And obviously that's like very attractive to anybody, not just chicks. Guys would be like, oh, I'd be friends with this guy. But I don't know. This is why people have NDA agreements that they make women sign when they start dating. Like, I used to be like, oh, Derek Jeter made women sign an NDA and he would send them home with like gift baskets. It's like, okay, I kind of understand why now. He should have sent her a gift basket. So yeah, Dave is he's going to be very vulnerable to either gold diggers or women that are going to call him a rapist or a sexual predator for clout, for attention, for their 15 minutes of fame, what have you. So there have been a lot of interesting takes on this. There is a conservative kind of influencer guy who has been commenting on it today. He works for, I don't know if he works for the Daily Wire. I can't remember. Like, Matt Walsh. I'm going to bring up his tweets. Sometimes I like really agree with him. Sometimes he bothers me. But he's a smart guy. So, okay, I'm going to bring up his thread here. Okay, we lost Isabella. We're going to wait for Isabella to come back. I hope she comes back. I think she lost a connection. Okay, so here's Matt Walsh. This Dave Portnoy thing is the most transparent setup I've ever seen. A girl solicited him for sex, asked him to fulfill her rape fantasy. I don't know if you guys heard this. I was talking probably over it in the beginning, but the way that they connected was like, hey, what's your fantasy? And the girl was like, oh, I don't know if I can say it, but it's a rape fantasy where I don't know what's going to happen to me. So, and then Matt says, and then runs to the media complaining that the sex was unpleasant. The real lesson here is to avoid hookup culture. Again, this guy's conservative. He's pro-marriage, you know. Avoid hookup culture completely and get married. I'm sure the girl did feel degraded afterwards. It's a degrading thing to participate in that kind of culture. Marriage is the answer. As I've pointed out many times, we've removed all sexual boundaries except consent. But consent isn't enough, so we've compensated by turning it into something vague and broad. A person can agree to sex and yet still have their consent voided, we say. But no, if you agree, then you did consent, meaning like if you go to some, you know, you let somebody fly you out. It's like, I mean, this is why I can understand it's almost easier to just deal with escorts because you get you get all your yeses and nos out of the way, out the gate. You're still flying the person out. You're paying them extra. It's like everything's kind of more clear than if you're just dating somebody, right? If you agree, then you did consent. Your consent was not violated. However, your dignity may have been violated still. That's what you're feeling after the fact. This is what happened with Aziz Ansari and that girl. Louis C.K.'s situation a little different because he like jerked off in front of women, but he didn't touch anybody. He didn't move on anybody. You weren't raped, but you were used. All hookup culture is people using each other. It's empty and grim. Get married. I understand his point here. So in a sense, yeah, I mean, we all know, guys, you know, we've all hooked up. We've all done things. Yeah, there is a big part of hookup culture that does make you feel like dirty and used. And if Dave is a kinky guy and he's like, oh yeah, we're going to do a rape fantasy. He's like over 30, he's 44, right? So he's a grown ass man. Anytime you're with somebody who's over 35, who's like, I have a kink, like, just get ready. It's not going to be like intro. It's not going to be like intro level to anything. I'm sure he had like a whole like 50 Shades of Grey room. No, who knows? But like if you're like a rich guy with a kink, like you're going to be pretty into it. You're going to, don't tell somebody you're kind of into pain if you're not really into pain. Don't tell somebody that like you kind of want a rape fantasy if you're not prepared to like kind of get a little bit hurt, you know what I mean? And then it's like, it's your job to like really work out a safe word and like, again, tell your yeses and nos and like be really clear about that stuff. I don't know if it's just because I'm a almost 38-year-old broad who's been around the block, but it's like, you know who Dave Portnoy would be great with? Like a woman over 35, you know what I mean? Who's had a couple bad secretary jobs, who like knows what she wants in bed. You could slap Darlene around. Sorry to all the Darlenes out there, but do you know what I mean? Like he could find somebody that would be in line with his sexual kinks. I have a feeling that person is less likely to be 20 years old. And if he has a penchant for younger women, like, the possibility that you're going to find a young woman who's real kinky, sure, she's out there. But I think the older you get, the more you find your kinks. So on one hand, he's learning this lesson of like, you got to be a lot more careful with women that you date. And I think it's a good lesson for women that like, if you tread into the kink territory, even with a guy you're dating, like you need to be crystal clear on what you expect and what not. Because to me, this just sounds like a hookup that didn't quite, work out the way she wanted. Or maybe like, they didn't continue seeing each other. And a lot of women, men and women can get toxic. We all know people who like when you've pulled away from them, got distant or started to see somebody else, that they've like turned on the gas and become like even more kind of controlling in your face. From Douglas Nelson, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Chrissy. I DM'd you a lovely Aykroyd Photoshop on Twitter. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other super chats up in here. So, Isabella, I hope you come back. I wonder if I've just lost her to the internet. Let me see. I think she's possibly DM'd me on Twitter. I could be wrong. All right. I've lost her to the internet. Reminds me of the Young Faye. Reminds me of those guys who fall for Project Veritas. Yeah. Well, that's guys have to be careful, especially if you have a job where you either make a lot of money or it's kind of like, you know, a sensitive area, some sort of protected info. You've got to be careful. But at the same time, you know, like men and women take advantage of each other in different ways all the time. Like women can take advantage of men emotionally, and so can men. Women can take advantage of men for their money. Men can like take advantage of women for their time, for their empathy, right? So both can lead each other on. Communication is the cure for all of this, guys. Yes, I will be at TIFFs this Saturday. Thank you for asking, Mike D. Yeah, this Saturday, if you live in New Jersey or you know anybody who lives in New Jersey, tell them to come out. I'll be at the Dojo of Comedy, which is also known as TIFF's Ale House, this Saturday, November 6th. The show's at 9:00. You can get tickets on my website, ChrissieMayr.com. Oh, I forgot to plug my shows at the beginning of the show. How dare I? I got a lot of shows coming up, guys. I don't know if you know this, but I added a new date. I'm going to be in Little Rock. I'm going to be at the Looney Bin in Little Rock, Arkansas, December 13th. That's a 7:30 show. And then I'm going to be back in Texas. This is a last-minute ad here. I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas, back at Hyenas, December 15th and 16th with Aaron Berg and also Anthony Cumia. I don't know if I've officially announced that yet, but you heard it here first, y'all. From Little Chad, thanks for the super chat. Your audience will really enjoy next week's comic strip. Just putting that out there. Oh, can I tell them, Little Chad? Well, I guess you can figure it out by reading this. You guys should check out the Little Chad comic strip, especially next week, which is November 8th, the week of November 8th. There may or may not be a new character that you might recognize. Cool. Thanks, Little Chad. Love, if you like cartoons, even if you don't like cartoons, check out Little Chad's work. He has a really great little comic strip. So what have we learned today from Dave Portnoy? We learned you got to be really careful about who you date. You got to be really careful about, it might be nice to say that you're super kinky, that you're into pain, that you want to do a rape fantasy, but be ready to like really back that up and like have your boundaries. Let your boundaries be known. It's hard to meet the right person. We all know this is going to go perfectly into my ad read. Wow, guys, I couldn't have planned this any better. We all know dating apps are terrible. They're superficial. You're swiping faces. Who knows? Maybe that's what Dave Portnoy was doing. Maybe he has girls constantly messaging him on Instagram. Like girls will, that's the thing, is like girls will take pictures of their ass or videos of them dancing where they look cute and they will tag him. Like that guy is fighting off a lot of puss. That's why I'm surprised something like this hasn't happened sooner. We know these dating apps are terrible. You're swiping faces. There's quote unquote expert matching apps. Both usually waste your time. The solution, this is what Dave needs. Dave, if you're listening, you need values-based matching. If you're conservative, things probably aren't going to work out with someone who's a total lefty. Same with religion, lifestyle, how to raise your kids, other core values. Sure, somebody could change to meet you where you are, but why not just find the perfect match right from the start? Jerome is a free new values-based dating app. You pick the deal breakers and deal makers. There's no match experts, no match percentages. You don't have to addictively check the app. As soon as someone matches your deal breakers and deal makers and you match theirs, you get a notification. Like if you were Dave Portnoy, you'd be like, deal breaker. If you don't like pizza, that's a deal breaker. Deal maker would be like, if you don't write a hit piece about me. Jerome is also video only for more human interaction. So go to jerome.date/CMP in your phone's browser. Click the iOS or Google button to install and use the invite code CMP to sign up. If you have a boyfriend, if you have a girlfriend, good for you. Husband, wife, congrats. But now you got to tell your friends and tell your partners to tell their friends. That's DROM.date/CMP. Designed to meet your perfect match. It's free to use. You should have done Drome, Dave. Aw, a consent app. Yeah, that's funny. You guys think if he is getting women, he can't be that creepy? I don't think he doesn't. I have a pretty good I have a pretty good radar on creep-o-meter. I think Dave seems cool to me. But yeah, he's got a lot to protect. His business. Hopefully he's got good people on his side working with me, working with him, like law folks. I sound like a teacher. I hope that's a compliment. Yeah. I don't know. Is it easier to just be a broke dude and then you don't have to worry about like women coming after you for your money? No, it's bad. This is toxic behavior. I think the Me Too movement, like Isabella was saying, it has really emboldened women because, like, what is more powerful than throwing down a sexual allegation suit or calling somebody a rapist? Like, you immediately put them in the defensive, and then you have all the power. They have to defend themselves. They have to prove that they're not. You could just fling an allegation at somebody, and already, like, you sort of gained status points. I just don't think that's the move. It seems like a really easy move to just throw an allegation at somebody you've hooked up with. But guys should know this, and not to make that not to harden your heart over it. Don't have this be something that makes you go, oh, you can't trust any woman. Well, that's it. I'm just gonna stay home and jerk off. You can't trust women. See, this is what happens. Look at Dave Portnoy. You can't let yourself get hardened because that means, they've won. You can't let somebody like steal your joy, steal your heart, your life, So it just comes down to communication, talking about your kinks, talking about your yeses and nos. And, but damn, if somebody flew me out to Nantucket I've never even ridden first class. I've never been first class on a plane. To me, that alone, I would be like, all right, all my holes are up for grabs this whole weekend. You know what I mean? Like first class. Okay. I'm all yours, buddy. You want to stick a pizza crust in my butthole? Let's do it. That's because I'm appreciative. I don't know. Okay. I don't think Isabella's going to come back. Getting hardened is what causes this in the first place. Yeah. True. Okay, guys. Isabella was great. Maybe I'll have her on again sometime. You guys can follow her. She's on all the things. Follow her Instagram. She has so many cute little videos. Isabella DeLuca Official is her Instagram. And I think that's probably the same of her TikTok as well. And she is also on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is Isabella M. DeLuca. Isabella M. DeLuca. Follow her on all the things. She was a delight. I had fun talking to her. I feel like her cool aunt. I feel like, oh, wow, Isabella, you're really headed in the right direction. Like, I'm really proud of the strong young woman you're becoming. I'm not on Locals yet. I have an account. I'm just not active on it. It's been on my to-do list for weeks. I got to do it. I got to do it, guys. I got to get on Locals. So, yeah. Oh, and I also want to talk about Isabella. So, after she was attacked at the Women's March last October, she talked about her experience on Facebook, and Facebook took down her entire account and claimed that it was fraud. I forgot to ask her about that, but that was kind of a spicy thing that happened. So I don't know. I'll be following the Dave Portnoy thing pretty closely. Again, it's like anytime somebody's in the news being publicly shamed, the feminists are going to jump all over it. The wokesters, all the leftists are going to be all over it. Oh, fuck this guy. And just it's so convenient that he's also like right-leaning conservative guy. Like they already had it again, like he said, he's had a target on his back for a long time now. And yeah, they just don't want you to be happy or successful. Was Isabella too demure for the stream? No, she was fine. I can be demure, guys. I can be chill. Okay. Yeah, Halloween was fun. I can't believe it's Thursday. All right, but I'm going to sign out. I have another live stream tonight, 8:00 with Austin Peterson. Hope you guys tune in to that. And yeah, check out the shows. This Saturday, I'll be at Tiff's in Morris Plains, 9 o'clock. And then I will be in Little Rock, Arkansas, December 12th, Dallas, Texas, December 15th and 16th. And then I will be in Albany, January 21st, with the Comedians of the Compound show. I don't know the venue for that yet. And then we'll be out on Long Island at Governor's, February 26th, for another Comedians of the Compound show. So we're doing it, guys. I'm also working on something in Savannah, Georgia, and Tampa, Florida for March. So I'm trying to get around. All right. I'm trying to do my thing. Anyway, until next time. Until next time, guys. Love you. Bye.